BBC.
Now on the BBC World Service Sporting Witness, and today we go back to the Winter Olympics of 1976 and one of the most exciting downhill ski races of all time. I'm Simon Watts, and in 2014 I spoke to the legendary Austrian skier Franz Klammer. It's the 5th of February 1976, the Patscherkoffel ski run in Innsbruck. The whole of Austria holds its breath as local hero Franz Klammer goes for Olympic glory.
I still watch it very often.
You watch it dozens, hundreds of times.
Dozens of 100 times, and I really like to watch it because I'm winning every time.
It's a moment cherished not only by Klammer, but by the tens of thousands of Austrians who lined the course, and the millions more who stopped work to watch.
It was something special. It made skiing famous. It was for me good. It made Austria proud. It was an outstanding performance.
Franz Klammer had been the overwhelming favourite to win the men's downhill ski event at his home Olympics. Born into a farming family in the Alps, he'd become the greatest skier of his generation by his early 20s, smashing records on the world's fastest runs. At Innsbruck, Austrians were expecting Klammer to pulverise the rest of the field.
Austrians are very proud of their skiers. That's why they started to call me the Kaiser. And now I'm coming in to the Olympics as the clear favorite. I had to win it for my own sake.
Why do you think you were so much faster than any other skier at that time?
I was technically very sound, but then I had parts on the down, especially difficult turns, where I risked more. As I knew exactly here, do something different than the others, and then I will pick up a lot of time there. So.
And physically, you seem to be much stronger than everybody else, or certainly skiers of a previous generation.
Physically, I was very, very strong. So I grew up cutting trees, basically from early morning down to dusk. Yeah.
In the 1976 Games, the ski Kaiser would need all his strength and courage to get his gold. In downhill races, the draw is vital, and it had gone against the Austrian.
If the conditions, like in Innsbruck, icy, rough conditions, I'd like to have an early number. Ideally, number 3. 2 guys down, and then you set the pace. That's what I like to do. But it was exactly the opposite. So I got number 15. And Bernhard Russi got number 3, my favorite number.
Russi of Switzerland took full advantage of his draw and posted an excellent time. Then, as Klammer headed up to the start, the conditions on the course began to deteriorate. The Austrian could hear how the rest of the field were doing, and they were all going much slower than Bernhard Russi.
The announcer was announcing it very dramatically, and I said, wow, sensational, very good race, but 1.5 seconds behind Russi. I said, oh my God, how can I do that? How can I possibly beat him?
Because Russi, who'd gone third, he said a very good, very good time.
He did exactly what I wanted to do, and put the pressure on me.
Klammer stood at the starting gate in a bright yellow ski suit. Lying ahead was a difficult 3-kilometre run, which the skiers were flying down at over 100 kilometres an hour, twisting and turning round every bend. The Kaiser's tactics were to improvise.
Respecting the course, everything is memorized and everything is in your brain. You know almost every bump. That's an ideal line, but if you stick on the ideal line, you're kind of skiing slow because you're not carrying enough speed. Sometimes it's good when you jump farther than the others or you get thrown off the line, and you just have to improvise. And especially downhill, it's very important that you can be flexible.
So were you feeling nervous?
I always was nervous, but then the thing is, once I went into the starting gate, 5 seconds to go, I'm totally concentrated. There I was ready to risk everything. And I didn't want to look in the mirror next day and say, well, Franz, you were a coward. You didn't dare to go for it.
Here's Klammer, but all eyes on this course. There'll be a roar going up. Look for the midpoint time.
Pushing off with all his strength, Klammer headed for the first gate at full tilt and very nearly fell.
In training there was never a rut, and in the race there was a little bit in the shadow and I didn't see this rut. And I caught my ski, I got it up in the air and I was skiing straight towards the fence. Okay, I recovered nicely from that.
Throughout the race, the Austrian fans held their breath. Klammer seemed constantly on the edge of disaster, his skis flailing wildly like a cartoon character.
Some turns I went just too straight, and some jumps I was just skiing too close to the bump and then I was thrown off, and that was also my advantage. Usually when I made a mistake I was getting in faster.
The roller coaster run was almost too much for the crowd to watch. But as the Austrian fans rang their cowbells, Klammer pushed the limits even further, clipping every gate, almost losing his poles.
13.24. Well, he's just outside, but he can make it up on the lower half. The brilliance of this man.
But at the intermediate time check, Klammer was still behind Russi. Then, on a big corner into a sharp right-hand bend, the Kaiser took a huge gamble by suddenly deciding to go virtually off the course.
I changed the line all the way up to the fence, very, very close. In training, I never was happy with the turn anyway. So I said, no, I'm going to change this. Doesn't matter. I just do it. And go up there, very close to the fence, and then diving down, make this right-hander. Everything fell into place. Probably is one of my best turns I have ever made.
Klammer was now catching up on Russi, but he still needed to clear a tricky corner.
This is a kind of a blind turn and a jump, two jumps, one after another, and Russi was a little bit conservative on that.
The hero of Austria takes the lead well, survives it well, hugs the torso, sits down, gets a lower line if he can.
I just did it absolutely right. There was nothing in between. no paper in between.
And so you absolutely went for these jumps.
Yeah.
You kind of wobbled a bit, but you landed and got down. When you were going down the final section, did you think you'd done enough?
I was hoping. And then I went through the finishing line, looked up. I was hoping it was enough. And then I could hear the uproar and the cheer, and so then I knew I won.
There's the time, it's coming up now, 1:45, he's done it, Klammer's done it, and this crowd go wild, balloons are going up, and Klammer has skied magnificently on the second half of that course. The arms are aloft.
I just turned, stopped, everybody was over me. It was just, everything was breaking loose.
It was pandemonium.
Yeah, it was. Then Bernhard Russi came over, he had almost no chance to get toward me, and he congratulated me. I mean, it was a very, very sincere congratulation, and I felt touched.
There was such chaos that Klammer had to be taken off the course in an ambulance for his own safety.
I was so relieved that I have done it, because it was building up. It was building up pressure for 2 years, coming to this Olympic run. And then I have done it. That's the biggest moment in my skiing career.
Franz Klammer's win at Innsbruck caused a sensation worldwide. Its mixture of daredevil risk-taking and composure under pressure sparked an upsurge of interest in skiing. And in Austria, it's made the ski Kaiser an icon to this day. Franz Klammer spoke to me, Simon Watts, in 2014. That's all for this edition of Sporting Witness.
This is the BBC World Service, where history speaks. In the 1970s, women involved in the British suffrage movement were recorded for posterity.
They set up on it, and the police were there, mind you, and they never moved a finger to stop it. We've got a lot of rude remarks in any case, we were used to it.
I'm Jane Garvey, and I've been listening to the testimonies of these remarkable women. The Lost World of the Suffragettes, Sunday at 14 GMT. And at 11:30 GMT, we're in the studio.
Liz Gehring is a master of movement. She's a choreographer so in love with her job that she falls asleep thinking of dancers jumping and spinning through her mind. We'll be meeting Liz in New York as she makes the first steps for her latest piece.
Next today, it's World Update, here on the BBC World Service, the world's radio station.
10 a.m. in London, 5 a.m. in Washington, 1 p.m. in Nairobi. This is Dan Damon at the BBC. A Japanese man wins the right to custody over 13 children he fathered with surrogate mothers from Thailand. We'll hear more about the case and look at the issues with surrogacy arrangements in unregulated countries.
There's risk that the person that's engaging in the surrogacy arrangement is not doing it on an informed basis. But there's also risk for you as the parents that the law may change around you as you go through the process.
We'll tell you about the woman tipped to succeed Angela Merkel in Germany, Eastern Ghouta in Syria under heavy bombardment by forces loyal to President Assad. And there's a warning, the civilian impact of the war is intensifying.
In eastern Ghouta, you have 400,000 people who've been under siege for more than 6 years. You have severe malnutrition, you have shortage of doctors, you have a lot of bombardment every day, so the situation is much worse.
First, the news.
Hello, I'm Gary Smith with the BBC News. A Japanese man, Mitsutoki Shigeta, has won sole custody of 13 children in Thailand after he fathered them with Thai surrogate mothers.